This podcast is brought to you from Grantwood AEA, an educational service agency that supports school districts in eastern Iowa with a focus on equity, excellence, and efficiency in education for all children.
Welcome to episode 64 of the EdTech Takeout, the podcast that serves up bite-sized technology tips for teachers. My name's Jonathan Wiley, and I am joined today, as always, by Mindy Carney.
Welcome back.
Hey, good to be back.
It is, yeah. Summer's over, though.
Yeah.
So sad, but here we are.
And we are joined by one of my favorite people, Lynn Kleinmeyer.
Hey, everybody. Can we circle on that for just a second?
Sure.
One of your favorite people. I feel like there's a lot of the intros that you talk about, like being joined by some of your favorite people, and I feel like it's kind of disingenuous. I really want to know, am I really one of your favorite people, Jonathan Wiley?
Here's what I'm thinking. Having you on, this is like your second or third time on the podcast, I think. I think if everything goes well today and you're happy and I'm happy, then maybe we just have you as our new permanent co-host and we replace Mindy.
Done. That's a deal. Done.
Yeah.
I'm
new assistant.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So that can be my new intro. And my new assistant, Lynn Kleinmeyer.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I don't introduce Mindy as my assistant, do I?
No, that's just Jason Marshall does that.
Yeah, Jason does that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, should we do some summer updates, news, things that people might have missed?
Sure.
And I put on here things that Mindy might have missed as well.
Oh, yeah, man. Summer comes and I totally log off. I turn off
Nice
Twitter.
to
I turn off
unplug.
email. I turn off everything. So, yeah, you were like, summer updates. It's like, yeah, so what's going on out there? But I do know one. I'll start, though.
Please.
Because I do have the Seesaw stuff,
Let's do
of
it.
course. So Seesaw had a bunch of updates this summer, great updates. They added some more tools to their creative options with inside Seesaw. You're able to take pictures multiple pictures right inside Seesaw. They added a glow pen, which is fantastic. Kids are going to love that. Teachers are going to hate it. Mm-hmm. And one other thing that they added was shapes. So like stickers of sorts, but they added base 10. So there's hundreds, tens, and ones in there. So kids can use those, which I think is something teachers are really, really going to love too. Just so you know, too, if you're creating new classes, that the default settings have changed a little bit here and there. So you might want to go in and just make sure that your class is set up exactly as you'd want it. They also added a sample student, so teachers can go in and play as a sample student. And the last thing, which I thought was kind of neat, was they added a Chrome extension as well. That's for Seesaw. And the Chrome extension itself is nothing crazy. It's just the ability to take a screenshot. But once you create that screenshot, it loads it directly into your student account or your teacher account, as long as you're logged in somewhere in your browser. So I thought that was kind of a quick way for students to share things that they're creating outside of Seesaw, take a quick screenshot of it with the Seesaw Chrome extension, and then it plops it right in their account.
So does it automatically post it, or does it give you like...
It doesn't automatically post it, so you can go and annotate on top of it. Cool. And do all the, still get all of those features that Seesaw has. So if you don't have the Seesaw Chrome extension, might be something that you want to think about.
Nice. Yeah. I love that, the sample student piece, because that you always want to experience what your kids are experiencing. So
absolutely.
That's awesome.
You have to log out and log back in and all of that stuff. So.
Okay, also new are some Flipgrid updates, and I've been digging into these a little bit over the last couple of days. Have you tried those, Mindy?
Did you miss the whole part before where I said no? This is like the first time I've turned my computer on in a month.
You paid attention to the Seesaw stuff? I thought maybe it's hard to ignore all the like Flipgrid stuff from Misty.
No, I just figured
really
somebody
exciting
else has got the Flipgrid stuff covered, so if I need to. So yeah, tell me about it. What's up?
Well, they have Flipgrid AR now, where you can create these little stickers so that you can have your Flipgrid video appear in augmented reality, which I think is unusual.
Yeah. I need more information about that.
I know they announced it at Flipgrid Live, and so they had some sample videos that showed kind of the ability to pop up. And
so it's like a Rasma, but with Flipgrid? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
I think an interesting thing is the closed caption support that they have built in now, and also video transcripts that are automatically created of all your videos. So people can see the text version as well as the
nice
audio version. And I think the big thing that's getting a lot of attention right now is the new camera. I think they're calling it the Shorts camera. Although I don't know why shorts, but it has video filters built in, so you can be like black and white. You can be like, I don't know, a different shade. But one of the interesting ones, I think, is the pixelated one.
Okay.
Where you can just have like a pixelated version of yourself, so you don't actually see your face on things. And, you know, some people don't actually want to see their face on Flipgrid, so you can turn on the pixelated one too.
And then you don't have to use the little tape in front of your camera.
Yes, there you go.
Right.
Or your thumb or something. You can add text boxes on top of video. You can add stickers, so like emojis and different arrows and things like that.
Sure.
You can draw and ink live on top of your video.
Really?
Yeah. So, you know, if you had a mobile device and you turn your camera the other way around and you're pointing it at something, you can ink on top of it while you're recording. And they've got like a whiteboard mode as well. If you wanted just to switch over to a whiteboard during your video and draw something and then flip back to your webcam, you can do that too. And you also get to trim and rearrange all those video clips.
Nice. Flipgrid's been busy.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love it. It's kind of a mashup of some of our favorites. You know, you think about Snapchat and you think about clips and things like that. The ability of filters and the rearranging portions. I think that's huge.
Yeah.
Yes.
So nice job.
Good job,
Good job, guys. I'll link to a couple of things in the show notes. There is the Creator's Guide to the Camera and Shorts by Mike Mohammed, and 20 Activities to Bloom with the new Flipgrid camera, which is from Matt Miller. And he took the Bloom's taxonomy and kind of related it back to things you can do with the Flipgrid camera.
Nice. Good resources there. Next up, Google.
Yeah, lots of Google stuff.
Okay.
So we talked about that locked mode for managed Chromebooks before, haven't we?
We have, yeah.
It's live.
It's here now, huh?
Yeah. If you go into the settings of a Google form, you'll see a little checkbox that says Manage Chromebooks, and you can lock your quiz so that kids can't open a new tab and Google the answers.
Yay.
Okay.
Mixed emotions, but yes, there could be some value.
Don't ask questions your kids can Google.
There you go.
Yes.
Okay.
Speaking of questions, you can import questions from other Google Forms into your new or existing
I like
forms.
that. Okay.
Yeah. That's a major win.
Yeah, when you take those time to craft those amazing questions that people can't Google, then you can import those into your new Google form.
Nice. Is it become like a bank of some sort, or how do you do it? Do you know?
You just say import question and choose the Google form, and then you just choose the questions.
You choose them one by one?
So kind of like when you import slides from other slides.
Exactly.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
There's a couple of new betas they've got coming out. One is Classroom Grade Sync, where if you join this beta, you will have the option, if you use Infinite Campus or something called Capita Sims, to have your grades from Classroom sync to Student Information Systems.
Yeah,
are they?
right.
Yes.
Okay. SIS, yep.
So at the moment, it's limited to just those two platforms, but they said more integrations are coming soon. So the whole double entry thing.
It's interesting that they're making that crossover, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
Okay.
So there's a sign up for that. I'll add a link if you are interested in signing up and using one of those two platforms.
Okay. Oh, I saw this too. You have on here about Classroom Rubrics. I didn't realize that was in beta. I thought that was just a thing that was showing up now.
I think that's also a beta right now.
Yeah,
where you can create rubrics for assignments, and students can see the rubrics, and you can grade with the rubric on there too.
Right.
So useful thing to have.
Yes. So is there one other thing? I do feel like I did see this somewhere though. Is about originality check somewhere.
Yes.
Is that going to be in Google Classroom, or do you know how that's managed? What is that?
I think it's within Google Classroom.
Yeah.
I would need to look back at the details of it, but it's my understanding it's within Google Classroom that students can run 3 checks on any of their pieces of work to see whether or not they're maybe getting
get
a little
busted,
bit,
or
going to
what?
get busted. And then teachers will be able to run those as well, which is kind of nice to be able to do it right within the platform. If you have some concerns.
Yeah. Well, Google Classroom is doing a good job here.
Yeah, so there's a small asterisk with this, I think, as
there
I
is?
read through it. So it
With
says,
the originality thing?
yeah.
Okay.
Once the feature is generally available, I'm quoting here, instructors will be able to access
yes.
originality reports at no charge for up to 3 assignments in each course they teach. Schools that would like unlimited access can upgrade their instructors to G Suite Enterprise for
Right, because I saw this
education.
through, you sent an email about this, right? And they were like, is anyone buying Enterprise for education?
Yeah, it made me wonder if now
know.
there's going to be certain features that come out that you'll get certain amounts for free with the free one, but then if you want the full thing, or maybe they won't go that way. I don't know.
Well, and the SIS integration would definitely be something that I would think you'd eventually purchase, right?
Maybe.
Like, I can't imagine they're just going to let that be free, but
It depends on those
You ask
companies
good
they're working
questions,
with.
Mindy Carney.
I could be wrong. I don't know.
So I was super excited to see that Google has also been hard at work in some accessibility features for Google Docs in particular. Through our agency, we've been doing a lot of work with accessibility. And one of the things I had never really considered is when people are collaborating in real time, if somebody needs to use a screen reader, that was not picking up, that they couldn't see the real time edits. And so Google is now putting in a feature that is on a slow rollout right now, that will have to be turned on through like tools and accessibility. But what it does is it pops up a sidebar that helps with those who are using screen readers, and it kind of gives them that interaction so that they can see and experience those live edits. And so they get that
So it's like a feed of edits over on the right-hand side. I see.
And so it's on a gradual release right now. In fact, it was supposed to be starting August 20th, and so over 15 days for the rapid release. And then the scheduled release stuff won't be happening until September 10th. And so it's actually not anything that I have yet, but they have that ability now to show those live edits for people who need it. And so I thought that was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I like it.
Yeah.
Too. Good one. See, look at you contribute.
I know. I feel like I've now contributed.
Well, this is your audition for
Now you can
being
go.
co-host.
See you later.
So, yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, stick around.
Am I doing okay?
A couple more. iMovie now has green screen on the iPad. It's okay. It works well.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not necessarily going to replace your Doing app anytime soon, because I couldn't find a way to you can't pinch and resize things or move them around the screen a little bit. They're just stuck wherever you film them. So unless they add some extra things to that, I don't know.
Yeah.
They also have 80 new music tracks.
Oh, thank goodness.
Oh, I know it.
It's about time, right?
How many times have you heard a video or saw a video online and you're like,
that's for my
iMovie?
movie. Yeah.
The new music tracks are kind of cool, though, because they will, if your video is 3 minutes long, it will automatically end the music after 3 minutes. Not fade out. It just changes the music and makes it finish on exactly 3 minutes.
Oh, that's nice.
So that's kind of neat, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
And last but not least on here, because I know Mindy has complained about this in the past, I put this on for you.
Yes, I have complained.
Canva has bought Pexels and Pixabay in order to
Pixels in Pixabay. Pixels in Pic.
in order to expand their free image library. Yes.
That's good. Yes. Because they were getting to the point where there wasn't a ton of free stuff out there anymore. Not a ton. Not like there used to. I think, and that's just it. When we used to use Canva and it was completely free. That was great. And then they just start taking stuff away and putting price tags on it. So
There you go. Then.
thanks, Canva.
You're the best.
You're the best. All right, up next, served to you piping hot. Our main course is Getting Things Done Digitally. Productivity tips for educators. Wow. Wordy title.
You like that?
Were you just wow, how many words can I put in a title of a podcast?
It was longer, but then I just...
It was longer than this?
No, it wasn't.
Cripes. All right, so we're back to the grind again. And so this episode is going to be a little bit about your productivity and how you use different tools. Recommendations are things that you hate that you do, but you continue to do so other people don't do them too.
Yes.
How about that?
Yeah, it's back to school time, and we all have to deal with things like email, calendar, and to-do list things. So I thought it might be fun if we just did a kind of roundtable thing and went around and talked to each other, interrogated each other, asked questions at each other about how we do those things.
All right.
So,
Manage your workflow.
should we start
First
with
tool?
email?
Yeah, sure.
Everybody gets email.
Everybody does the email.
Who wants to start?
Okay, they're looking at me,
okay.
and I feel like I have heart palpitations because I know Mindy's an inbox zero kind of girl.
I am.
And
See how
You know,
maybe
it's-
this should be true. For, how many emails are in your inbox right now? Everybody look.
No, I don't want to tell you.
6, 8. I've got 10.
read or unread. I have a whole management system. No, don't look. I'm feeling judged. I thought we were in a judgment-free zone.
No, viewers. That's never been said.
No, I keep saying it, hoping that that's how it will be. But, it's interesting because I so love listening to how other people manage their workflows. And this is just kind of one that works for me. And so I let everything go into my main inbox.
I do too.
And then as I go through things, I manually move them to my labels because that's my way of clearing things out.
I do that too.
But I don't move them until things are completely finished with them.
Right.
And so sometimes things sit there for quite some time. And then I have a whole system, like a color coding system with our lovely indicators and stars of prioritizing things that I need to circle back. It's kind of a complex system. It means that I'm never at inbox zero.
So your email is kind of like a to-do list as well?
Yep.
Okay.
Here's one of the things as we're talking today, you're going to find I am a to-do list in all sorts of forms. Like I have to-do lists to make to-do lists. And so my email is kind of like my to-do list to be able to circle back.
Right. And I do the same exact thing. My difference is that I don't keep things in my inbox. I snooze them out of my inbox. So like right now, like just in that matter of time, I deleted 4 emails because it was just junk stuff. But the emails that I have in there are all things I need to take care of today. And if they don't need to be taken care of today, then I snooze them to the right day. So that's why I love that little calendar button over in your right-hand navigation with your little calendar icons. What's that little thing called over there, you think? With like your little add-on. It's not really add-ons because your Zoom, my Zoom add-on is over there now too. What do you call that?
Just called a side panel, I think.
It's just, okay, so on my side panel with the calendar, just open that up and then I'll find, okay, when will I work on this? And then I snooze it to that. And then I might even put time on my calendar to take care of that project, but it keeps my inbox from being overwhelming.
Do you snooze things, Lynn?
Not often.
Me too.
You too, like you don't snooze things?
I don't snooze things.
Oh my gosh, I bet I have 30 things in my snoozed all the time.
No, because
Really?
I'm afraid that I would miss them. And so I like to keep
they
things
send
visible.
it back to you. It goes
I know,
to the
but
top
I like
of
to
your
keep
inbox.
things visible so that if I have that moment of being able to circle back,
then you just click on your snoozed right here.
I want it.
Okay, that's
I
fine.
need it in my face.
Okay.
I need it visible at all times.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Wiley.
So I have a little bit of a theme that kind of runs through my workflow, and that's based on a book I read called Getting Things Done by David Allen, and I kind of adapted parts of that to make it work for me. But and when a new email just came in, I just thought I'd update you on that. But and so what I do with my email is kind of based on that system, and the system is if you can deal with that email in 2 minutes or less, deal with it,
Right.
and then it's done.
Yeah.
If not, then email really falls into 2 categories, which I have 2 labels for.
Okay.
Now, I have a whole bunch of labels, but I don't use any of them anymore. I only use 2 labels. I just haven't deleted the other labels. So my 2 labels are waiting for. I'm waiting for somebody to do something, or I'm waiting to find out more information, or I'm waiting to something, or something needs action. It needs done. So it's like something is a task, basically, almost like your to-do list stuff. So there's 4 emails in my inbox right now. 3 are unread, and 1 is just one I need to talk to Lynn about today.
Oh, do you want to talk about it right now?
We could. So generally speaking, I just, do the 2-minute rule and deal with the ones I can deal with when they're there. Otherwise, they go into waiting for, or they go into action.
Right.
And then I just need to be good at checking those 2 folders whenever I get time to work on email.
Right. So what if you see, this is where I get sidelined sometimes with my emails. I'm working on something else, and I really like that I have, is it called Gmail Checker or whatever it is, where my notification pops in that I have a new email. And if it's spam and stuff or whatever, promotional stuff, then I don't look at it. But if it's from someone I know, needs a response at some, like you can tell if it's an email to you or not. I always check those, and sometimes I get sidelined then because I'm like, I don't know if it's just the job that I feel like I need to respond immediately because I'm sitting right here. But that stuff, sometimes I wonder if that's the best tool to have so that I get notifications all the time when they pop up. Do you guys have that thing too?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it just depends on, what I'm working on at any given time.
Yeah.
I don't have the notification thing that comes up, but I have it on the tab where it says the number of unread emails, and that will just even just when that changes.
Higher and higher.
Yeah, so if I'm doing something I need a lot of concentration on or something I don't want to be distracted on, I try and just close that email tab.
Yeah.
And then just don't have email there, and then I can't see it, and then I'm not distracted by it. So I would guess your extension probably works in the background anyway.
It
and
does,
just pulls that stuff through. But
yeah,
that's what I would tend to do.
Yeah. And I don't have those because I know I would get distracted, and then I would have to go check and see, oh my goodness, does somebody need something? Because, we are in a service industry where we want to help and support our districts or whoever's asking for help. So, I just know that I get distracted if those things pop up.
Email is just one of those things that you read about it and people say, oh, it's going to die and we're never going to need email again. But I feel like we've got it for like the next 100 years.
Oh, I think so.
Yeah. I don't think it's going anywhere.
Checking our email till we die.
Yes.
It's the truth. One thing that I do like is the follow-up that, shows up now. So if I send something, a lot of times when I send something, then I use my email as a to-do list too, but once I send it, it's gone. And sometimes I forget I sent that email, and I love that it comes back and it's like, hey, you sent this 5 days ago. Do you want to follow up? You haven't heard anything back. And I love that is an option because, out of sight, out of mind sometimes when you have a system email is your to-do list. So I think that's great. A great feature that they added in.
Yeah. I love the nudge.
Yeah.
I like that because at least in my head, when I've replied to something, usually it's like I request more information before I can do something. At least I know, okay, that's done, it's taken care of. I'm waiting for them. So I could put it in my waiting for, but I don't always do that. So the nudge is good.
Yeah, right.
All right.
What's next?
Calendar.
Ooh, calendar.
Should we talk about calendar? What goes on your calendar? How important is your calendar? How do you protect time on your calendar? What's your best calendar tips? Well, let's go back to Lynn again.
Oh, I get to start again?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so the question of how important is my calendar?
Yeah.
I live by my calendar. I would not be able to function without that calendar right there in front of me all the time. And so I have, with work, everything that I'm putting in, I had to figure out a system when I first came to the agency of trying to figure out how I was going to communicate to myself where I needed to be and when. And so one of the things that I had originally started doing was I factored in drive time to my calendar events. And I quickly learned that was a bad choice for me. So it's nice because I arrived very early at different locations. But, trying to figure out exactly what I'm putting in, I try to account for all of my time as much as I possibly can. So whether it's a meeting or whether it's the kind of factoring in those things that I need to get done, I try to block out calendar time. Whether or not I stay true to that, sometimes not so much, but I try to block out as much time as I can for all of the things that we have to do, whether it's meeting with our districts or putting together presentations or whatever it is that we have to do. I do put on the notifications, and I have several different ones because I guess my biggest fear in this job is missing something and not showing up. And so when I put things in my calendar, I set up my settings so that I always get an email the day before. I get the morning of.
Do you delete those right away then, or do you keep them in there until you're done with your meeting?
Those ones I go ahead and delete.
Okay.
But it's just that nice, once again, you're going to find this common theme for me is keeping things visible. I need it because it's out of sight, out of mind. But So I get that notification the day before. I get an email in the morning that says, here's your entire agenda. And then I have it set for like a half an hour before an event. It will go to my phone just as a reminder.
Gosh, wow.
I told you, I have a fear of like missing something and leaving somebody high and dry because I missed something on my calendar.
Right.
So this is what I do just to make sure I'm constantly aware of where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yep.
What about you, Wiles?
What did you call me?
Wiles.
Kind of like it.
So I guess, I don't know. I do live and die by my calendar too, I guess, in lots of ways. But I only put things on my calendar, or I try only to put things on my calendar that are getting done at that specific time. And
What do you mean by that?
like if I have a meeting at 9:30, it goes on at 9:30. If I'm just working on email and to-do lists, something like that, I don't necessarily always put that on my calendar, or maybe I should, to account for my time and be more transparent. I guess maybe more like what Lynn was talking about, but I'm not always good at doing that. Or sometimes I'll just block things off, and sometimes I'll put to-do lists, and I feel like I need to get better than just putting to-do lists. I need to be more specific about the things I put on my calendar. Otherwise, specific things don't always get done. But my email and my to-do list are my biggies. My calendar is kind of somewhere in between, I think. But I only really use calendar for work, and we were almost talked about this before. I turn off weekends on the calendar view so that I only see work views, and I only really look at my calendar when I'm at work. So don't really use it for personal stuff or the weekend and things like that too.
Right. Well, I live and die by my calendar as well, and my personal life and professional life both go on the same calendar because I have a lot of sports in my life as far as my kids are concerned, and so I have to have all of those things all in one place so that I can make sure that I have travel time to get from work to a practice or pick up the kids or whatever. And then and then I share my work calendar with my husband, so he knows all of the things that might play into the day. So as far as the things that I put on the calendar outside of my personal life are, like, I set aside, it's kind of like my to-do list on my calendar too. So I didn't used to put all of my different projects and stuff on my calendar as far as prep time and things like that. But what I realized is if I didn't put those things on my calendar, people would invite me to things because they'd look at my calendar, because we share calendars with lots of people, that they'd be like, oh, she's got like a whole day here. When in fact, like, I had a whole to-do list of things that needed to get done that day. And so there'd be a meeting and I'd be like, well, yeah, I can go. And in the back of my mind, I'm starting to stress out because that's a 3-hour meeting and I have all this stuff that need to get done that one day.
That's what I was talking about when I sometimes leave gaps in my calendar, and it's like, it's not because I'm sitting there on my hands wondering what to do next.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why I kind of put those things on my calendar now, is just that communication with our colleagues, that if they're trying to schedule a meeting, they can always contact me to say, hey, what do you got going on? Is that really time that you're out in district? Can you be flexible with that? How important is that really when you put that there?
Well, and we can push a lot of things sometimes too, though, because there are days where we're more flexible and we're like, oh, I could push this to another day or whatever. But the nice thing about it is that at least it's covered, so people ask instead of just inviting.
Exactly.
Too, so
yeah. And I kind of like you, I do, I share my work calendar with my husband as well, just so that he has an idea of kind of where I am, especially traveling wise.
Right.
But then also my personal account, I've shared it with my work account so that I can see those views, so that I can kind of factor that in. So multiple calendars for multiple purposes.
I just get tired of flipping back and forth between calendars. So I just forget it.
I can either see it's either like a gender thing going on here, or it's just a lazy thing on my part.
Because your wife has a pretty tremendous calendar at your house,
and she shares it with me. And
so I see.
But then I sometimes it started off, I think I'd put things on my calendar, and it'd also be on her calendar. And then there's the two events of both calendars, and I don't need to see both of those.
Yeah, you need like one calendar.
Yes,
so my husband runs his life off of my work calendar, which doesn't seem right, but
ditto.
Whatever. Yeah, it's fine.
I guess one other thing I should say about calendar is I try to have one appointment that's the same every week.
Yeah.
And I have one, and sometimes you guys have asked me about it before, but I have one on my calendar called Weekly Review.
Well, I know. That's when you and I sit down together and I tell you how I feel like you're doing. It's your job.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I tell people your weekly review is.
Good to know. My weekly review is actually sometime on Friday where I try and just like bring together all the loose threads and think about what have I got going on next week? Have I got everything scheduled and lined up for what I want to do next week? And the theory of that is that over the weekend, I can just not think about work at all. Yeah, so just put all my
You're
ducks
sending
in order.
emails at 10 o'clock on a Saturday night. Have you seen this? Yeah, dude, it's Saturday night. Put the
Swiftly
work away.
moving on. So last on the list then would be to-do lists.
Oh, sure.
And
My favorite.
I think this will be the most interesting one because I know that we all have very different ways of putting tasks together. So
Right.
when things need to get done, Lynn, where do they go?
Okay. So the question had been, what is it, digital? Is it paper? Is it both? And my answer is both. I love to-do lists. It's kind of like this really sad satisfaction of being able to cross things off. And so I have to-do lists in both forms all over the place. But for me, as far as work goes, I have really fallen in love with tasks. Off to the side of your Google, what did we decide we're calling that now?
Sidebar, right?
Sidebar. Off your sidebar. I had been using like the check boxes on Google Keep notes, which was also nice because that's part of the sidebar and you can find it all over the place in all of your different G Suite apps. But I have fallen in love with tasks because you can
Tasks is going to die. You know that, right?
no,
Okay.
but I've
going
fallen
to the
in love
Google
with it.
graveyard.
Didn't go
that's-
to the Google graveyard yet.
I'm
Okay.
super sad. But for right now, I am just embracing it for as long as I can because I like the fact that I can do subtasks. And that it kind of groups it all together because I'd like to break down projects for myself because I've learned, once again with our job that oftentimes we can put things on the back burner, because something else, has come up and maybe is a little bit more pressing. And so I want to have those checkpoints to make sure that I've thought about all of the different components for a task. And so that's why I really like the fact that tasks have subtasks available.
So you just have one list of to-do list things. Is that fair?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay.
Yes.
Or at least digitally, in a way. Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
But then I also have, like you guys, it's really kind of, it's a problem. But I do love to-do lists because I feel like I need to, once again, keep things visible and constantly, we have so many things that are going on for us, big extended projects and things like that, and multiple projects that we have to manage those. And I just need to keep them, as present as I possibly can. So I also, yes, I have paper to-do lists and I sit down and like, okay, here's my things that these are major ones for today. And, constantly keeping them visible.
Do you have like a special notebook or a special system? Are you like...
I actually just bought a new notebook. Beth Swans will be so proud of me. It's really fantastic, you guys. It's like all in a day is what it's called. And it tells you like you mark off the date and you say your goal and your top to-do lists and you make notes. I love it.
Does it say something corny like "Be the best you"
No,
or something on
the
it,
cover
or "Today
says-
is the day"?
No,
Okay.
it says
like on each
all
day.
in a day. And I love it. Oh my gosh, I'm obsessed with it. But yeah, I also, much like Beth, love getting new notebooks. So
how do you decide what goes on the tasks and what goes in the notebook?
sometimes it's double entry
Okay.
just because I need to kind of, once again, there's stuff that's really pressing and I have to write it down. I have to capture it right when I'm thinking about it. Otherwise, quite frankly, I'm afraid I'm going to lose it.
Yes.
So
Right.
All right, Mindy.
Me next. I do strictly paper to-do lists.
Okay.
And I do one big, at the beginning I should say at the end of the month, I go through and go through my whole month that's coming up and make a long to-do list of just big things that have to get done. And then if I need to sub to-do list from those things, I will make a sub to-do list all on paper. The only time that I really use a digital to-do list is like if I'm collaborating with someone and then I use Keep, which is nice because then you can see who's got what done. And and then once that to-do list is done, I fold that piece of paper in half in my notebook, as you can see here. And sometimes I'll label them with different stuff. So like my projects are labeled on the outside. So, because it's just mixed into my notebook here. But then I fold them over. And once this notebook is done, then I will get a new one.
Do you keep your notebooks? Like,
no.
You would look back and reference something? Or?
No.
No?
I will toss this when I'm done with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, I keep mine.
You keep yours?
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you do with them?
Reference back. There'll be times. Yeah. There'll be times where I have to.
How many notebooks do you go through a year?
Probably 2 or 3.
Oh my gosh.
So do you like label them or number them for dates and things, or?
No, I kind of have a pretty good sense of what's in what notebook. Okay, so this is like deep thoughts with Lynn Kleinmeyer, but I kind of have a photographic memory. So if I write it, I can picture it and reference back to it, so I can tell you which notebook it's in and roughly where in the notebook it is. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I am the complete opposite of that. I do not have a photographic memory.
That is true.
And I do not use paper. Yeah, I forget a lot of stuff if I do not record it somewhere. My entire system is digital.
Do you think if you wrote more stuff down, you would remember better? I'm just curious.
I guess it's possible.
Yeah.
I mean, there's research out there that the more you handwrite something, the more it retains in your brain. But I don't know. I have mine digital to the point that, like, when I'm in the car, I will send an email to my to-do list and it will record it in there too, because you can't write things down when you're in the car. And by the time I get to wherever I'm going, I forgot of this moment of genius and then it's gone.
Right.
How many moments of genius have been lost?
Exactly. Yeah. So I use, like I said, I use an app called Todoist, which works on all platforms. It works on the web. There's mobile apps. There's Mac, PC, whatever. And so no matter what device I'm using, I can access my to-do list. I'm kind of
so
on
it's
the
Todoist or to-do list?
Todoist.
Got it.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm kind of on the getting things done bandwagon for this one too. And one of their big things is you need to get everything out of your head and into a system that you trust. Otherwise, one, it will be nagging at you away for the rest of the day. I must remember to do this. I must remember to do this. And then you don't do other things, or you're not as creative and freed up in your brain space. So all of that stuff goes into like a list called Inbox. And from there, it can be processed into a number of other lists. So I have like different lists for things. So I'll bring it up here. So I have a list called projects. So like...
there's nothing in there.
No, there are projects in there. So like Mindy and I are working on have talked about working on a class to do for teachers here.
Oh,
so that's a project.
We're going to talk about that this afternoon.
Yeah, so that kind of thing has multiple steps, multiple things that need to be done. So that's a project. So that goes into the project file and, bigger things. And then I've got things like just the one action stuff, like claim mileage for this school I went to. So that goes on the to-do list.
Adding that to my to-do list.
I know. That's in the next action list.
Yeah.
I have a podcast list. So if I see something on Twitter or something that I'm like, oh, that'd be a good tech nugget, I add that to the podcast list. Then I go back onto there. I have a list for home and personal stuff, like things I need to get done at home, like replace the screen on the screen door and all this kind of stuff. So
Does your wife get to email stuff to your to-do list?
No, she has no access to this at all.
Can I email stuff?
No, you have no access to this.
How does it work? Do you just have to know the email address?
It's a special secret email address that I don't tell people.
So that would be super fun to get a hold of, though.
Yeah.
Putting that on my to-do list.
I've also got a list that's things like waiting for, like the stuff on here, like when Hulu's up for renewal, or when I need to do an oil change and stuff like that. I'll schedule specific dates so that it's on the to-do list, but it doesn't appear until a certain date. I have a someday maybe list, which is
what's on there? Tell us your hopes and dreams.
Oh, I like this one.
It's one of those types of lists. Well, one of the things on here says chocolate fudge box brownie cheesecake recipe.
Oh, that's on my hopes and dreams list too. Make that.
Like, someday maybe I'll make that. That looks pretty good.
Yeah.
And then I don't use it very much, but I've got a read later list where if I don't know, see a book or an article or something, I maybe put it on my reading list sort of thing, and I'll throw it in there too. So my to-do list is pretty intense sometimes, just in terms of it has a lot of stuff on there, but it's part of how my brain works and how I remember things. I just put everything on the to-do list, no matter how small or big it is.
Yeah.
And then I don't forget it.
Yeah, sure. Wow.
There you go.
Insights to
Pretty
Jonathan
deep.
Wiley.
Hopes
Thank
and
you.
dreams, maybe someday.
The hopes and dreams label.
I love that, though.
Someday, maybe.
Someday, maybe.
Maybe.
All right. Up next, my favorite part of the show is Tech Nuggets. Oh, look at you with your little nugget archive.
Oh,
Here.
Yeah.
Are you talking about that today?
I can do.
Oh, okay. Were
I'm
you planning on it? I'm putting you on the spot.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Mindy and I will often find something for Tech Nuggets and we'll look at each other and say, have we talked about this before? Have we
Right.
done this before? And
Right.
we can never remember. So what I'm starting to do is put together a spreadsheet of the nuggets that
He
we
said
talk
spreadsheet.
about.
Yep. He said spreadsheet, folks.
I
We're so
did say
proud of you.
spreadsheet. Yeah, spreadsheets are my goal of the year. I put a spreadsheet together of nuggets that would be searchable, and I don't know. I guess we could put it in an awesome table or something if we really wanted to.
I thought you were going to use the Glide app.
Was I?
Yes.
Okay.
That's not on a to-do list.
That needs to go on the
apparently.
to-do list. Yeah.
Apparently it does.
Maybe
Which
someday.
isn't a big deal. You just import that, right?
Yeah.
Didn't you just import that sheet into Glide somehow?
I just don't know if it gets really long, if that would be
Oh.
best suited for an app,
Yeah,
but
right.
maybe.
I don't know either.
So there's a spreadsheet going around where I'm starting to add tech nuggets that we talk about in the show so that we can look back and see if we did talk about that
Right.
or not. And I guess I could put that in the show notes if people are interested
Yeah.
in seeing it. They can go back and
Little
see our
index.
Yeah.
previous nuggets.
Yeah. All right. Who's going first? I'll go first. Okay. So I have, like I said, been completely like unplugged for the summer. And so Tech Nuggets yesterday was like, oh my gosh, I've got nothing. And I started to look through Twitter. I'm like, I don't know. You also know how I love Twitter. Anyway, so I thought, you know what? I'm going to put something out on Twitter and I'm just going to ask and see, how do teachers introduce a new tool? Because so often as tech integration people, we're like, there should always be a purpose. But at the start of the school year, at some point you are going to have to introduce a new tool to students. So how are you doing that? So I heard back from Katie Marshall, which is a tech coach and teacher at Midland Elementary here in the Grantwood AEA area. And she sent me two, actually. One of them, she said that she did on her within the first, because they just started school too. They used the Sphero as an introduction, and the kids changed the color of the Sphero, and then to show what their favorite color was, and then they drove it to their partner. And so that was a way of introducing them to one another and also to use the Sphero for the first time. She also had she has green screen set up in her classroom. So she just has just a green cloth, nice and easy, taped up to her, put up on her wall. And they did green screen too with a mountain background. And the kids had to share one, I think it was a math goal, she said, about how they were going to climb that mountain and tied it all together.
That's
so the kids
awesome.
did two easy tech tools and an introduction to both of those tech tools within the first couple of days of school. Easy peasy and still had a purpose. Yeah. So
Nice. All right, I'll go next, and I'll just give a quick heads up to an app called Socratic by Google. I think it was an app that Google actually bought at one point, and similar to some other things that they've done in the past, but it's available on iOS or Android. And, you've seen those apps where students will scan a math problem and it will solve it for them.
I think that's fantastic.
I do too. So it's similar to that in some ways, where you can have it solve it for you, or it will give you like some little step-by-step directions for how things work, or some other examples that follow the same kind of path. But they're doing it for more than just math. So it works for, in different ways, it will work for fiction, drama, poetry, algebra, geometry, trig, biology, chemistry, and physics. So built to support all different kinds of curricular areas, and it's powered by Google AI. Uses that text and speech recognition for looking at the types of things you're showing it, and it will search the web and give you different things. So it's kind of like a Google search basically, but it puts it in a nicer easier to understand way for learning a topic.
Nice.
So, free app.
Free app.
Where was that when I was in school?
I know it. Yeah, right.
The internet didn't exist.
Oh, sad but true.
Google did not exist.
Google did not exist.
That's true.
Yeah. We had dial-up. Yeah.
Are you doing one? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've got.
Come on.
Well, I've got two.
Okay.
So those of you who have worked with me know that I am totally obsessed with Unsplash, which is a great place to find high quality images that have been licensed for reuse and sharing. And so I don't know where I've been and how I missed this, but I did not realize that Unsplash actually has an add-on that you can put right into Google Slides. And so that was new to me because I had been going out to the website. And so then as I was messing around with that, I discovered Unsplash for Education. So Unsplash for Education basically is a group that comes together, and what they've done is they've put together some collections that would be useful for educators to be able to share with their students.
Nice.
And so I was super excited to see some of these.
Oh my gosh, this box is adorable.
They're categorized by things that maybe students would be utilizing in their schoolwork on a regular basis. So everything from like pictures that coincide with education. The history one I was super excited about, and I'm hoping that that's a collection that continues to evolve and develop. But I think a lot of the images from that collection are coming actually from the New York Public Library, but they're historical images that kids can utilize. So I was very, very excited about this because I thought it would be great for being able to send kids so that they're not having to search. They can just go within that particular collection and find what they need for their schoolwork.
Yeah,
so,
right.
Way to go, Unsplash.
I like it. Unsplash.com/education.
Yeah. Super excited.
All right, back to you, Mindy.
So speaking of being under a rock with the Unsplash add-on, I have just started using Wakelet recently because Amber and I ran into a problem with our Think, Make, Innovate, all of the different artifacts that other schools send into us. And I had never used Wakelet before, and we were trying to figure out, we needed a tool that you could embed into a website, but that would also house different links and images, media. And Amber's like, I don't know why, let's use Wakelet. And I was like, okay, sure. And so I had never used Wakelet before, but when I got in there and started using it and adding stuff to our collection, we have a collaborative collection. And I thought this would be a really great tool for students to use for a portfolio. Why are we not using this for a portfolio? Because you can add links, you can add pictures, you can add things from your Drive, you can add things from Twitter, you can add things from YouTube, all of the places that kids are sharing their learning and what they're doing all into one spot. Not to mention a great place for teachers to put resources for a class or for kids to take create a collection of collaborative research for a class. I was like, man, I've totally been missing out on Wakelet. Like, I've always heard people talk about it, but I'm not a bookmarker. And so I just kind of was like, I'm not a bookmarker, so I'm not even going to use that. So yeah, I thought Wakelet was kind of it's super easy to use too. Like, anybody could use Wakelet. It is super easy.
And it's once again, it's that visual collection that kind of helps people interact.
Yeah, it makes it really pretty. It looks kind of like a Pinterest board of sorts. You know, they're all in tiles, and you can move them around and order them the way that you want them and stuff. So if you haven't looked at Wakelet, once again, I know I've been under a rock, but I thought, wow, this is a fantastic tool for educators. And it's free, too, which we never hear of anymore. So,
Hey, I'm totally there with you. I also have not used Wakelet with any great purpose. I see lots of things that people are saying about how amazing it is, but it's one of those things I've not had the need or the want to use it, the purpose for it. Yeah, I have other things that fill that role. So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Can you put a Wakelet inside a Wakelet?
I believe the answer is actually yes.
Yeah, because you just add a link.
Yeah.
So it could be a Wakelet of Wakelets.
So I'm thinking about your portfolio. Maybe you could have my portfolio. You could have like a 6th grade Wakelet and a 7th grade Wakelet. And just send
like a homepage Wakelet.
Yeah.
Yeah, because all you need is a link. You just have you can share anything with a link. So that would be the case.
That's cool.
Yeah, and then it shares out to like Google Classroom, Microsoft Teams or something.
Yeah.
Okay, so Microsoft Teams, Facebook, Twitter, and then a QR code you can just print out or whatever, and then it generates its own code or its own link too. So lots of ways to share it.
Nice.
Yeah.
I have a second nugget to share with you all, and I guess it's keeping with the beta theme. We talked about a couple of betas that Google have earlier in the show, and this is another beta from Google, which I happened to see via Eric Kurtz, who tweeted about this. It's called Audience Connect, and it's a way to have your audience be more interactive inside of a Google Slides presentation. So what this will do is you start your Google slide, and then it gives you like a code for people to join your slide, and then they will see your slides on their device, and as you change slide, theirs will change slides. And so it's a way that people can connect on different devices and see things on their phones or their iPads or their Macs and PCs. And I think for those kind of times where sometimes, I don't know, in the classroom where, screens can be kind of small or people's vision might not be as great, that you could see that happen as it happens there. What I don't know if it has is things like if you did closed captions when you were presenting, would that appear on their screen as well through the Audience Connect? That'd be interesting if it did.
My guess is no, but I don't know that for certain.
It's still beta. Maybe there's time for them to add that feature if that's not there.
I doubt it's mirroring your screen so much as just sharing the link to your screen, right? I mean, sharing the link to your presentation. So how is that different than just sharing the link of your presentation?
Because when you move from one slide to the next,
it does it for them automatically.
Almost like a Nearpod type of deal.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. So can they interact with you through that? Like, can they ask questions like Q&A with slides or not?
You can do questions and feedback. And
nice. Did you say that already? I'm sorry.
I did not say that already, but yeah.
Nice.
So you need to download something for your device in order to broadcast your slide and things like that. But it is available for first access people to sign up for. It said on the website that it should be available in August, but I haven't seen it yet, and we're running out of days in August, so maybe they're pushing that back.
And I might take back the fact that closed captionings would show up if it's changing the slide as you change the slide. That'd be really interesting to try.
I would have to be recording your screen, I guess, to broadcast
They're connecting,
it out.
Especially if you're putting software of some sort on your computer.
Almost like webinar style. When you join a webinar and you see.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll see. It's called Audience Connect, and I will put a link to that in the show notes.
All right.
Nice.
Is that all the nugs?
No. I have more.
No. One more. Pack of 6 here. Okay.
All right. Yes. So one of them I thought would be great to share was explore.org. Basically, it's some live cams of animals in their natural habitats. And I just thought this was kind of an interesting place to be able to go, because oftentimes when you're talking about different biomes and different animals, you can't go and visit them on a field trip. And so I thought this was kind of an interesting one to be able to share with your kiddos. Obviously, have to be aware of natural things happening on the safaris and things like that. So just, thought it was interesting to share.
I'm watching
playing it.
Yeah.
Yes, he was.
There was an animal in this room. Oh my gosh.
Mindy about jumped on the table.
Like
that was fantastic.
I'm watching the Flying Fox cam right now.
Oh.
Yes. Well, and there's
What's Foxy doing these days?
Hanging upside down.
Oh.
And things that will distract you. I went down to the rabbit hole of, there's one called Zen Cams, which is a collection of all of these different live streams, everything from like rainstorms that are happening right now to beaches. There's all sorts of really fantastic stuff. And so I fell down this rabbit hole of checking some of these out, and one of them was the Aurora Borealis, and I was deeply saddened because I clicked on it, and obviously being live cam, it was daylight, and I didn't get to see much of anything.
Oh, sure.
So, obviously pros and cons to the use of this, but I thought it was interesting to be able to maybe have kids experience things that they don't get to on a regular basis.
Yeah, right.
But the other one is Unite for Literacy. And there are a bunch of different places where you can go and you can find resources to help support early access literacy, especially, getting books in the hands of kids. And so this Unite for Literacy I found to be kind of an interesting one. It's a collection of books that kids can access for free. they're just kind of listed right there on the site. But what was really cool, I haven't quite explored enough to figure out, I'm sure you can kind of search and narrow down, but there are quite a few that can be translated into other languages or read aloud in other languages. And so I thought that was really special about this particular one that I wanted to highlight. But they did have, I have always been a fan of Wonderopolis. And so they actually have a collection of books that are developed from some of the Wonderopolis questions. And so they're very early, elementary books, but they would be a great resource to be able to get, into the hands of parents and kids. So.
All right. Well,
that's all the nugs.
That's all the nugs.
Gripes.
We all have emails and to-do lists to get back to, so we should probably get back to it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I am at Team Carney on Twitter, and Jonathan is at Jonathan Wiley. Our team account is at DLGWAA, and you can use our hashtag EdTechTakeout to tag the show. If you prefer, you can send us an email to podcast@gwaaa.org.
So until next time.
This has been the EdTech Takeout. We hope it hit the spot.
For more information on today's episode, please visit dlgwaaa.org/podcast.